We are now about to start the next part of this event. We are not stopping yet and asking questions for our experts and also for our examples. We have our expert panel on the stage, and we start with a live podcast recording right now. I will hand over to our host, Laura, who is going to introduce you to the guests and give you a little invitation.
Thank you very much. Well, welcome to our special FAO podcast. We're broadcasting live from the World Food Forum here at FAO headquarters in Rome. For those who don't know, the World Food Forum is an incredible platform where youth, experts, and leaders come together to spark a movement for transforming agri-food systems. It's all about creating a better food future for everyone today and tomorrow. And we are going to zoom in into what is the power of media to accelerate this transformation. We'll be exploring the potential challenges for young people like you, some of you that are here in the audience and some of you that are listening to us at this moment, who are passionate about creating positive change in how we produce, consume, and think about food. I'm Laura Quiñones. I'm a media officer here at FAO. And joining me, I have three incredible experts and speakers. I have Pedro Del Carpio. He's a behavioral scientist who can shed some light on how we can use media to influence attitudes and actions toward food. So, Pedro, tell us a bit about yourself and why are you here?
I'm here to give my 2 cents on anything hopefully interesting about how humans perceive and make decisions under uncertainty.
A little bit of your background.
I come from the marketing and communications field, and then I was really interested in consumer research, and because of that, I studied cognitive and decision sciences. A few years later, I founded a consulting company in Peru. We do research and advisory from a behavioral science approach.
Okay, thank you so much, Pedro. Is this one working? Okay, it is. And now we go with Lourdes. Lourdes, she's a FAO food system expert with a deep understanding on the complexities and interconnectedness of our agri-food systems. And you, for what I know a lot about policy related to agri-food systems. So tell us a bit about yourself.
Sure. So my name is Lourdes. I come from the States. I have a background in political philosophy, actually, and have been working increasingly on systems approaches to food systems transformation, agri-food systems transformation here. So this entails kind of understanding how to bring together various sectors to transform food systems. Of course, policy is essential to this. We know that the food system touches upon various dimensions and sectors from health and nutrition to the environment and sustainability agenda, as well as livelihoods. So many billions of people depend on food systems for their livelihoods. So my work is seeking to kind of highlight the interconnections between all of these different elements of the system so that we can reinforce the positive effects and try to minimize the trade-offs that we have to face, hopefully towards sustainable food system development.
And we will be going back to that in a second. But before, we're going to go to our third, last but not least, our guest, Francisco Martinez. He's a media expert who has harnessed the power of storytelling many times to transform the very technical things we do here at FAO into more digestible snippets for the public. So tell us a bit about yourself. What do you love about your job?
Well, gracias. Thank you. Very generous introduction, but yes, I am a multimedia producer here at FAO, and yeah, I've worked here 5 years already, and before I was with IFA, so always UN agencies. I have also collaborated, with private sector, had the chance of working in movies here, so I've been around in different spectrums of multimedia, and yeah, I'm from El Salvador, Francisco, as you said, and I really enjoy what I do because it's more than a job; it's a passion project. So that makes me, really get into how I can improve and make it, always better and keep enjoying it. That is very important. So yeah, it's just a short bio.
Okay, thank you so much, Francisco. Well, and later we will also be hearing from Sophie Rotman. She's a media practitioner who's making a real difference with her work and Shamba Shape Up, a farm makeover show empowering smallholder farmers in East Africa. Um, let's start sort of drawing inspiration of what is the theme of today, which is World Food Day, Rise to Foods for a Better Life and a Better Future. So to set this stage and set this podcast, I'm going to go to you, Lourdes, and I'm going to ask you, what are the biggest challenges? What do we need to make it change in agri-food systems? What is it that we need to transform them?
So I think it's important that we go to what is going on right now currently, right? We are facing a biodiversity crisis. Climate change is going to and currently compromising the ability of our production systems to produce food. This is often driven by the food system itself due to a number of reasons. It could be production styles, it could be reliance on fossil fuels. There are a number of issues across the food system requiring our attention. If we go to the human element, there are still millions of people still living in situations of extreme food insecurity. There are millions of people, if not more, who are facing obesity, who lack access to fresh foods. These are issues that shouldn't exist in a world where we produce as much as we do, where we can definitely feed the world, where we can regenerate the world, learning from a variety of practices, from traditional indigenous knowledge to the developments that we are seeing in science and technology and innovation. So the food system, this is one of the main reasons why we're trying to talk about transforming food systems and the right to food, to make sure that we can not only overcome those challenges, but also leverage the potential of food systems to deliver a green, sustainable future for all.
And coming from that, how can media, and I'm going to ask Francisco, how can media help us do that? How can media help us address all these challenges? Just very general, then we'll go to the details.
Yeah, the power of storytelling, engaging and raising awareness, sharing knowledge and the power of communicating fast and in a manner that is digestible, so people can understand and relate to the problems that we see. And yeah, I would say for what Lourdes was saying, it's raising awareness so people know what's going on. And if you're expert enough, provide a solution, deliver a call to action that is effective and that it will hopefully make a change, in behavior. So yeah.
And this is what we are trying to do today as well in this podcast hybrid event at the World Food Forum. And Pedro, since Francisco touched upon the behavioral challenges, how can the behavioral science in which you work for can help us understand the way the people perceive or respond to these messages about food and agriculture using different media?
I think in general, it provides rigorous evidence about how the brain, the mind works. And that's really important because the most critical element that media producers, any producer that aims to change behavior has to solve is how does our audience thinks, what motivates them, how their mind works. And behavioral science provides basically a collection of insights that could speed up the process of content creation. And also going beyond that allows you to understand that behavior is not only motivation, not only beliefs. Behavior change is super important, inform people, persuade people, but to change behavior, you have to include the context, include the capacity of the person, physical, cognitive, and not only the aspect of motivation, beliefs. That is basically what media focus on. So it's plus the system. That's what behavioral science can bring to the table.
Oh, that's very interesting. And we have to start thinking that, you know, there are so many formats in which we can package what we do in media related to the message that we want to get through. And also, well, we have some kids in the back because tomorrow is actually Junior World Food Day. So that's why you're hearing those voices. They're very cute, actually. And I would actually was gonna go to the topic of youth. You know how youth can be the agents of change. You know, what are the unique opportunities and challenge for the youth now to use media to sort of support this message and this work towards transforming agri-food systems. Lourdes?
So, how can youth become more active users or producers of media?
What is there? What I mean, you are part of the youth, my dear Lourdes. So, what do you feel right now for your generation? That are the biggest challenges that you are facing in terms to get that message out there?
Well, I think despite all of these challenges, we have seen an abundance of youth activists participating in social media, whether it be TikTok or Instagram. I'll show my age a little bit. I follow hundreds of people on Instagram instead of TikTok. But there's a participation from across the food system, as I was mentioning earlier in the presentation. You will see this in terms of consumer access to healthy foods, whether it be in what we're seeing in Kenya with support to agricultural production. All of these are really important in providing a space for youth. Perhaps the biggest challenge remains leveraging this power towards policy changes, policy shifts, creating accountability, allowing these media voices to participate more fully in arenas just like FAO, or to shape the national processes as well, which are critical. I think that media is a powerful tool for bottom-up development, but it could be complemented by and supported through the public sector engaging more effectively, buy-in from the private sector, support through resources. So this might be the biggest challenge, I think, for youth in reaching those structures and influencing those structures more effectively, not just through media, but through the opportunities that these institutions provide.
Pedro, is there a way in which we can use behavioral science to empower youth to be part of that policy change, to push that policy change? What do you think?
I think that in general, empower humans, we could use the concept of social proof. People, we have to always make decisions under uncertainty. And it's really hard to know what's the best idea, what should I follow, what should I like. And through media, we can show what is desirable, what the community is doing, what is, for example, normal now, or what could be normal in the future, shaping in some way culture through the intersection of behavioral science, media production, communication. I think that's the way. That's the way of creating change, empowering youth.
Okay. I'm sorry, let me stay with you a second. How in your experience, since for how long have you been doing behavioral science?
Around 12 years.
12 years, and you're pretty young. So have you seen it shift in these tools that we use in behavioral science from the past 12 years until now?
Yes, I think at the beginning of the applied behavioral science movement, it was basically focused on nudging people. The idea of creating a new, changing some aspect of the decision-making context to persuade people to do some behavior. That's a nudge in our field. Now I think it's getting a bit more sophisticated and focusing on understanding human behavior, which I think is the most interesting aspect of what we do. Because when you are able to understand the mechanisms of behavior, then you can predict. And if you can predict, you know where should you intervene. And that's what I find more interesting and what has been changing lately for positive. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Then we'll go back because I want to kind of connect that to the work that we're doing now. Also, a lot of the youth is doing now on social media. And I don't know if maybe Francisco can tell us a bit about that. Like, how do you think media has evolved as well? And how can we leverage this new media into, spreading the message and, influencing behaviors as well?
Yeah, well, media has evolved immensely. I mean, media is also text, so from that to what we have now, glasses that will, record and augmented reality and all these things. Talking about youth and the new generations, they're attracted to this. It's hard to know somebody that is 20 years, and 20 years is a lot, But if you ask a 20-year-old now if he knows what a CD player was, they probably don't know. So now, how to drive change and how to influence agri-food systems and anything that you want to actually reach out and make a difference, you will be needing media. So it has evolved from a book and traditional means to something that if you would have told this 20 years ago, as I was saying, it would have sounded like science fiction, So now we have, here, for example, maybe people are aware of what the World Food System is, but the power of social media has brought it pretty much alive. It has a lot of different activities just for you to go on social media and post it. So it's fast, it's immediate, and I think it has evolved to something that somebody has to write for 6 months, then print it for another month, edit it, and then go to the bookshop or maybe a pamphlet, because and it's a linear media. So it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and you cannot diverse from that, line. Now with social media and cross media and all of these things, a newspaper, let's say, it's kind of a cross media because I can read this page, but then I cross to the other topic and things like that. But now I select. So that is, if you really think about it, it's amazing. Like, oh, I don't like this, so next. And then I can just choose what I want to feed my mind on. So
Yeah, the good on-demand option,
yes,
right?
yes, exactly.
And well, now there is an amazing example of how we can use media to influence, let's say, a niche of people. And one very important niche of people, which actually, if I think about it, it's really not that niche because thanks to them, we are fed all the world, and that's our rural farmers, smallholder farmers. I have with me Sophie Rotman, and she, is making a real difference with her work with Samba Shape Up. We come from another event in a bit ago where she explained in depth everything that she's doing. So some that are here, my here's information that is not new, but I want to ask you to please tell us some of what you're doing with Samba Shape Up. What is it? What is it about? What inspired you to start it? And yes, tell us, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. So, Samba Shape Up is a makeover TV show on smallholder farms. And I'm saying it very slowly because it's two things that you don't necessarily put together, right? We know the house makeovers, we know Pimp My Ride, we know all of these things that are about makeovers, things that we relate to. Not many people have seen a farm makeover show, but that's essentially what it is. And what inspired it is that Media, the company that produces Samba Shape Up, has been producing media and multimedia productions for over 25 years. Started off with radio, moved into television. We have now phone, smartphone, YouTube, social media, everything. So we've really moved with the times in that sense. But really what motivated it was that we realized at the time that we were doing a drama series that we had a huge rural population of viewers who are particularly interested in farming. And Kenya, which is where we're based and the program runs, is very much a rural country. I mean, 70% of the population relies on farming in one way or another as a means of livelihood. We have a huge population that's producing food. So, we were looking at the trends in television, and the most popular is news. And then at the time, the next most popular was reality TV shows, Makeover being one of them. So we really said, let's use that to reach this huge, huge audience of farmers who want more information around farming. And that was really how the idea was born.
So how does a smallholder farmer and farm makeover looks like exactly?
Okay, so essentially we visit farmers across the country. So we might be on Jennifer's farm in Embu County, and it's her family farm. So she's probably got a couple of kids that might be helping out. Maybe her cousin is there, her husband has a role. And we learn about what they're doing. So, the first entrance is to really get to know the family. And as a viewer, this is a family I know because it's in a setup familiar to mine. It's a real farming family, a real household, and it's familiar. We have two presenters, Tony and Carol, who are driving the show, right? They're funny, they're light, they joke with the families. They make them feel comfortable to be in front of camera because they've never been in front of camera before. And we have a 12-person crew staring at them with, two big cameras and the sound guy miking them. So it's a bit intimidating. So the presenters really also help them ease into the show. They joke with them, and they've really become very famous faces of Kenya because of the show and the popularity of the show. So when the farmers see them, they automatically relax because they also feel that they know them. So we visit the farmers, we find out how they're doing, what's doing well, and then where do they have challenges. And it's a half-hour episode, but we cover 4 different topics. So Mama might say, you know what, my cow's not been giving me very much milk. The rains came late, my maize is doing terribly, my chickens have some funny disease, I don't know what's happening. So we'll bring in the experts. So we might bring in the vet that will say, Mama, you know what, it looks like your cow has mastitis. What's mastitis? The swelling of the udder and all of that. What does it lead to? Less milk production. How do you prevent it? And that's where really the learning comes in, because so many other millions of farmers will have dairy cows that have this problem, but maybe never knew how to prevent it. So it essentially becomes a story about good milking practices. Make sure that you wipe the cow's udder with a warm, clean cloth. Make sure you use a milking salve. Make sure you have a foot bath. Biosecurity. So it's making interesting and fun things that maybe don't sound so interesting and fun, but because our audiences are dealing with this every day and they're saying, hey, if I implement this, I can make a change to my production. I can go from 4 or 5 liters of milk to 10 or 12 liters of milk in not very long time because I've eradicated this illness that my cow has. So, it's really bringing in those stories and in a very colorful and relatable way.
And this was a TV show, like going on, regular TV that you turn the TV on and it shows up, right?
Yes.
Is it available now on YouTube or digitally?
It is. So the first point of access for us has been television, national television, because again, we're speaking to a peri-urban and rural audience who are watching television. So it's on the national broadcaster, Citizen TV in Kenya. It airs on Saturday and Sunday in English and in Kiswahili. So we film everything in 2 languages and it airs in 2 languages. And that ensures we reach who we want to speak with. And then, of course, we have it on YouTube. We're moving more into video on demand. We're creating short clips. There's a lot we can talk about. But we have all of these add-ons. The basis is really the television because that's where we reach. It's a kind of common denominator. And then if you have data, you might have a smartphone, but you don't want to use your data. There's all these elements to it. We see Africa, we see Kenya, and we see 60 or 70% of Kenyans have smartphones. It might be the case, but are they willing to use the data to stream YouTube? So we are really trying to think of how can we reach everybody in a common denominator, and then there's all of the add-ons that come on top of that.
So it's very important, you know your audience, and that's one of the biggest messages I think that we have to keep in mind. We're doing any product, right? I would like to ask Francisco, since he's our FAO media practitioner as well. How do you think we can get FAO's publications, which we are very proud of, our food security, our SOFIA, we call it. We have a lot of acronyms, but they have to remember to put the microphone. Yeah, we have SOFA, SOFI, SOFIA. They all touch different things. They all have a similar acronym, but they are actually very interesting and very in-depth products and information about the state of world's food and fisheries in the world. How could we make people understand what are we already doing that you think is good for our audiences to understand these very technical topics?
Okay, yeah, it's hard because it's very technical. So it's very particular. So it's niche oriented. So people that are interested in that topic will look for it. But the challenge, obviously, is how to make it as digestible as possible and make people that might not be interested in, engage to what, because it's important. It's an important topic that relates to everybody. It has to do with our future, with what we eat, with our diet. So to make it appealing, I was just something that is not at once. Pedro might also prove me wrong or concur, but it's something that the mind, has to have, certain amounts of data that is being delivered. And these are like huge topics. So maybe if you create a series or small episodes in which you have a precise topic that you're going to talk about, bring an expert. There's different formats that you can actually use, because you're going to identify first your audience. Then if, for example, we had the kids previously here, so if you're going to deliver it to them, maybe use an animation, or use something that it's easier for them to understand. And then if you're going to deliver it to policymakers, then bring an expert that is going to have a credibility behind, what you're going to be talking about. But break down the content. Break it down, because those are huge reports, huge investigations. And I'm sure that if you do that, because we tend to use here at FAO as a personal experience, when we have these big international days and all of these things, we tend to use promotional videos to promote it. But then what is the essence of what we're trying to do? So maybe if at the end you have a takeaway that, okay, now you can follow this on a podcast or something like that, that will help a lot. But break it down.
Or we can also partner with young people that are trying to do these things out there so they can help us with the message. What do you think?
Yeah, of course. If you have ambassadors, let's call it, in a way that they can, have a partnership in a way with FAO, because the same partnership with FAO, there's a lot of background or back end to this, but once you have a communication with FAO, that will be, that will be something that it will for sure potentiate and catapult this message to another level. Influencers, they spread the word widely.
But I'm trying to drive this into the people that are going to listen to us out there and that for some reason follow us and are interested in this transforming agri-food systems and everything that we're trying to promote here at FAO. I want to talk about how they can start something as impressive as Sophie's, and maybe Pedro. Yes, Pedro. What what should they have in mind in the moment when they're trying to put something together? From if they want to change the behavior of somebody else.
I think that there are several models, several techniques, several methodologies to understand and potentially achieve behavioral change. But I would say the simplest is trying to find out what are the barriers or facilitators of our desired behavior. That should be the main focus of your research. And then decide, probably researching the user journey, where is the right place to intervene, trying to reduce the barriers and boost the facilitators of your intervention, of your strategy.
Thank you, Pedro. Let's talk about a little bit about the challenges. What are the biggest challenges that you encounter? Did you doubt yourself and say, no, this is something maybe we can't do? How did you say, we're doing this? And you said that you obviously studied the market and all these things very quickly. Some tips that we can give to those media aspiring people out there.
Okay, so challenges, you will have many challenges. We are doing a farm makeover show on smallholder farms. I'm sure you can all think of 1,000 different challenges. And, one of them is, showing up on somebody's farm and them wondering, why are you there? Of course, we don't randomly drive to the farm. We work with our partners who already know them and they have a relationship, but it's still intimidating. So actually, it took us a while until the program had the 4, 5, 6 million viewership and huge traction that when people saw us, they were happy to see us. But it still is a challenge because sometimes we don't show up with the presenters when we're doing the scouting. We visit lots of farms to see if this is the farm we shape up. So when they see me and the director, they say, "You're not Shamba Shape Up. I've never seen you guys before." And we go, "No, look, so we're on the website and this is us and here's a picture with me, with the presenters and so on," because trust is a huge issue when you're speaking with, with farmers, with anybody really. But when somebody shows up at your house, so that can be a challenge in getting their buy-in for you to be there. But really, my biggest tip is to have a really clear, basic, simple communication strategy. Who, why, what, and how. Who do you want to talk to? Who's going to be your audience? Why do you want to talk to them? So really, what's your objective behind speaking to them? And what are you going to say to them? And then really looking at the channels, which is how are you going to do it? So, having a clear, simple structure in mind, the production, when you see it, you saw snapshots of Shamba Shape Up, it doesn't look that complicated, but a lot of thought and a lot of research and a lot of answering these really simple questions has gone into it for it to become the program that it is now.
Yeah, maybe I'd love to come in on that, just because I think it's so telling that you put so much time in research and connection and into trust building as a fundamental aspect of being able to communicate with people. And I'm sure this is an aspect of behavioral science in enabling people to listen, people to be open-minded and challenge their own assumptions, challenge their own biases, and accept the new information that might be very scary for them to implement or create risks in their life to implement. So I just wanted to mention that it's really critical to be not just focus on what the media can do, but what is going on around you. So one thing that I would love to tell people is just get involved in your community. If you love this, there are so many people around you working on this, I'm sure of it. And maybe it will be people who are slightly of a different generation and perhaps don't know so much about social media, and maybe you can help them think about your skills, think about what you can bring to the conversation. The previous example was just about how much love a colleague of ours had in urban agriculture, and this ended up reaching hundreds of thousands of people through TikTok. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, no, it's really incredible, right? That you find something that really, really touches people, and that had to do with knowing your audience and also knowing what you're going to do. That has to do with the communication strategy. And in terms of some tips, I heard you, Francisco, before giving some tips of the technical side that you want to finish with. We're running out of time a little bit.
Well, you mean tips by like how you're going to frame like
well,
technical.
Let's say
technical
I found
tips?
I'm loud up and I found the thing I want to do. I found my community, and maybe not a TV show because that's hard, but a TikTok. I want to do a TikTok. What should I take into account?
It seems like a simple question, yeah, but it comes down obviously to your audience and your subject. Like, I mean, subject, what are you trying to convey as a message? But keeping it simple and authenticity also. It's just like, if I'm trying to show you how you're gonna run a farm, then try to show myself doing it or showing somebody that it's starting with this kind of project. So identify your target and how you would like to learn about this topic. So, and keep it simple. Honestly, keep it simple. The important step is the first and next step, so just do it. Just take that step and you're gonna learn to build up on your project like that, I think that Shamba Shape Up it's an amazing example. I have watched what they have done, but they started in a different stage. They have come up to this. So if somebody wants to start, in TikTok, I'm also with your generation in a way. I have more Instagram than TikTok. But for my trade, I have to, you have to keep up with trends. So keep updated and use what it's available now. It's not that hard. The hardest part is to have consistency, to not
publish, right?
Yeah.
Publish.
Sorry.
Publishing constantly without worrying too much
exactly.
if it's perfect.
Yeah, have a strategy, but that will also come step by step. As I said, start if you are able to design a strategy well for you, but that you will also learn. So
Well, thank you so much, Francisco. Thank you so much, Lourdes. Thank you so much, Sophie and Pedro. I wish I had more time to keep talking about this. I guess we could stay here all day. But I'm just going to summarize in one thing, and that is that if you want to do something, if you want to use media to promote the message of transforming agri-food systems, first, what you just said, just do it. Just start somehow, right? Then also have your plan, your communications plan. Then look at great examples such as Shamba Shape Up and so many that are out there online and that we all have access to these days. And then after that, don't lose hope. I think that's the most important, right? And well, I'm Laura Quiñones. I'm very happy to having hosted this quick podcast from the World Food Forum. Remember the World Food Forum team, good food for today and tomorrow, and everything we do is working towards that. Thank you so much, and until the next time.
thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much to our experts. Thank you to Laura. Thank you for your time and your patience. And we are now closing this event with some remarks of our special coordinator of the Plant Production Protection Division. This division was also the one who was enabling us to do this event, as they provided us with a fund and also with our time as employees in FAO. So we are very grateful having this opportunity to get such an event on stage and talking about a new innovative topic. And I invite now Jordi Yasmi on stage to give his closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Jasmine. So good afternoon, colleagues. How are you doing? Good. So it has been a long but fruitful session. I was here at the beginning for about 1 hour and then I left and I came back for another maybe 15 minutes. I would like to first thank all the speakers, and also I didn't see any more our speaker from Nepal. I would like to thank you and congratulate all of you for this very, very useful conversation. Let's give them a big applause. I also would like to thank the organizer of this side event, NSP and ESF, the young part of both division actually. So when young people organize something, it must be good. And it has been really good. So thank you very much to you colleagues for organizing this event. For me, I have some takeaway messages. Although I was not here 100%, but I listened a few things repetitively. First is change. When we communicate, we want to see changes. And I see example from Kenya, from Nepal. We want action from communication, right? And we want transformational action. This is what I appreciate about communication and also communication champions. So today we have heard their stories, their experience, how they changed life in different parts of the world. I appreciate this. Second, communication is very important for raising awareness of different stakeholders, not only farmers, not only communities, but also decision makers. So I really salute all of you who are communicating agri-food systems that we want to transform in the future for better production, better nutrition, a better environment, and a better life, leaving no one behind. And my last, kind of takeaway from this session is that everybody has a role in communication. You do not need to be communication specialist to help raise awareness, to help bring about changes in your community, in your environment. So let's keep communicating for the sake of transformational change of our agri-food system. Thank you very much and congratulations.